Good afternoon. I'm going to talk today about subtitling again. This time I'm going to start from scratch, i.e. I'm going to start from the way the software works and then move on to show you some of the aspects and characteristics of this subtitling software. Here we go. The first thing that you do usually, and here I'm just going to be closing the software first, and then I'm going to open it. I'm going to show you what it is. Now, as you can see, there is an icon called WinCaps at the bottom of the screen, which I am going to be activating. So I press twice on it, and the WinCaps starts. And here, of course, it tells me about the safe area, which I would say, not say, do you want to set them up now? Yes. You just press yes, and then accept it as PAL, which is the system. And these are the top and the bottom, which are the settings for the safe area. What does the safe area mean? It means that, that you are typing within the screen and the screen of the TV, where all the subtitles will appear and safely. Now, here is the actual software starting. We go to File, open it in File, press on File. No, I don't want to create a new file. I want to just open a file that already exists. So I just go for File, Open, and then I'll have to, well, if I'm opening here a file, it's better to open a file from here, which already exists, which is at the bottom here. As you can see, it is right at the bottom on the file, and I click on it to open. And there is the file, the actual text. And the actual text, it says حتى بداية القرن العشرين كان الرجال من جزر البحرين يبحرون, and so on. Of course, the blue screen is where the video plays. And of course, this one requires you to actually activate that screen, the blue screen. How do we activate the screen? Is we press on, as I said to you before, this is the keypad with number keys, and this is where I've connected a keyboard separate to the laptop, basically because the number keys here are separate, whereas on the laptop they are combined or integrated, and so you have to press on F, the function key, and then once you press on the function key, then it changes these keypads into these numbers, which is, there are some numbers on the keypads which are activated by the function key. This we don't want because we don't want to operate it that way. We need to operate it separately. So we go to the num key here, which is connected, this keyboard is connected to the computer, to the laptop, and I press F5, the letter 5, or the number 5. Once I press on it, you can see that the screen has changed from blue into gray. Now, if I press 5 again, then you will see that the time code is starting. Now, this time code is very, very important if you want to start, because it will help you with these subtitles, the subtitles that's going to appear on the screen that are here on there. So these subtitles, when they are moving up and down, now they're moving up and down because I am going page up, page down, that's all. But if you want them to run with the video, now the video is running, and in 7 seconds, 6 seconds, it's counting back to 0 to start the video. In order to make the subtitles appear on the video properly, we press on F7. And then in F7 means we are rehearsing the actual videos with the subtitle. Of course, the colors, because it's black and white film, so colors can be useful. You can see I'm numbering at the bottom the actual subtitles, subtitle 7, this one. This is subtitle 8. I'll remove it later. I can't edit while it's in the rehearse mode, which is F7. I have to press F5, which is in the editing mode. So if I press F5 now, I have done, you can see the video is still running, but the subtitle is no longer moving with the video. That's because I'm editing it. I need to edit it now. Therefore, if I type anything now in this area here, I can type anything. But in the rehearse mode, which is F7, I can't. See? I can't edit anything. It moves from one to the next while the video is running because I am in the rehearse mode. See here, you can see that the text is moving up along with the video. But if I press F5, that means I am going to be in the edit mode or editing mode. And the editing mode is where I can actually work with the script and change it. And also I can change even the duration and all these numbers here. Let me just press the F5 now. Now I can edit. And I can stop the video. How can I stop the video? By the number 5, which I press on it. So if I press on 5, now the video is stopped. Now I am in the, it stopped and I am in the editing mode. And the editing mode means that I can type here whatever I like. If I want to type, I can type here. Now I hope that this is really very basic about how to move the actual video along with the text in order to make it easier for everyone to understand that in the edit mode, which is the F5, is really useful in that it actually tells you you can edit there. It enables you to edit there the text. And this is a very important point there about the editing. When you find that the timecode of one subtitle is not correct, then you can go to the numbers above the text, which are put there, and you can change them then according to what you hear from the video, of course, and you pause the video where you want it to be out, i.e. the timecode to be out, you press on enter, and that will insert, and it will insert the same timecode that you have on the video. It becomes on the text file, which is next to the video file. So the insert in the num keys, the insert, which is 0, you press on it, and that is for the in, and the delete is out, or the opposite. You can try them both and see which one is the in cue and which one is the out cue. You play the video where you want it to come out for that subtitle, and you press delete, and it will actually remove, gives you the same timecode. I'll just show you this in another, just to give you an idea. I'm just going to go to the end of the file, and this way you will see what I mean. When I go to the end of the file, let me just go to the end. And now at the end of it now, you can see that there are some empty ones here with the time codes which is not correctly done. If you can see them, apart from the top one. So you can see the time codes that are in yellow, that means they are incorrect. Now, wherever I am on the video, which is here 0102 46.23, if I want to include that in the in cue, which is the first one, I press insert, and it will go to where the subtitle in between lines, the white lines. just go up a little bit. So you can see where the cursor is moving. That is where I'm editing. So I press insert, and then you can see that I've actually moved that particular time code or made it into a white one instead of the actual yellow one that was before. Then if I play, and then I stop, and then I press on the insert, which is on the num key here, and that will remove the out cue. So the out cue now is inserted as well. So this is where it's giving me the out cue and the in cue for this particular in particular. And then I can type the actual text, and while I'm typing you can see that the number of characters are moving. Now they are 30, and the word per minute is 135, which is too much. So I have to remove, I'll go back, I'll have to remove a little bit of it. So the word 121 words per minute. This one is unacceptable, even though it's in yellow. I want it to be in white, so I remove more characters, and it is now in white. That means the reading speed is correct now. For this particular duration, which is 2 seconds, 17 frames, and the character numbers are 26 characters. Characters are, what I mean by characters, look at this, like each space is a character. Here's one space. If I type one letter, it's a character. That's 2 characters. If I type a comma, then that's 3 characters. If I give a space, 4 characters. If I type 2, 3 words, it will carry on counting the number of characters that I've used. And you set it up, and you set up what is within the usually for adults or adult movies, i.e. feature films, you can put the speed limit at 180 to 200. Sometimes some companies use it up to 220 words per minute. That's quite high. That means you have to read faster as a viewer. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say 180 to 200, maybe 200 is the maximum. As for children, if it's like a Walt Disney kind of movie, then the speed, the word per minute, will be 120 to 140, because children read much slower than adults, and that's why you need to make it lower. Now, how do you set up these speed limits? Well, you can also click on right click. If you go up to the top of the file first, let's go up to the top of the file. When we go up to the top of the file, you can set it up before you start, what you want, how long you want to set it up. When you are here, at the top here of the screen of the edit in the text, you can click here and find subtitle, the time codes, the position, the font you can change. Position means up and down, different positions, you know, like horizontal, and you set it up centered or left or right. That's the position of the subtitle on the actual video. At the moment it's at the bottom and it's centered. So, and then the colors, you can always set up so many different things. If the file, you can always do with the file, the color throughout the whole file, the font throughout the whole file, and the language. Also, you can change the language. So you can click on this. This is at the moment Arabic. You can change it to English, French, German. There's so many languages you can go for in there as well. I hope that this video actually gives you an idea of subtitling and some of the elements or aspects, characteristics of subtitling. Of course, if we are to talk about the techniques of subtitling, and this is another very important element in subtitling, which is shortening. Shortening is really one of the most important element in translating or subtitling a film. You need to shorten the text, but make it as meaningful as possible as well. It's like it's choosing it into a kind of meaningful units, if you like. And that's what usually happens in interpreting. A meaningful unit means a phrase, a full phrase, rather than in one line, not half of a phrase and the bottom line of that subtitle will have the other half. So it's better to have one phrase at the top of the line and another phrase at the bottom of the line. An example of this will be here, for example, here. You can see that I have made two lines, the first subtitle, في بداية القرن العشرين, at the beginning of the 20th century, as the first line, and then the bottom one, كان الرجال من جزر البحرين يبحرون. So this is like another meaningful section or segmentation, which is very, very important in subtitling, that you need to give each line a full meaningful unit in each line. And the two lines should not be higher in terms of the word per minute. You can see here the first subtitle here, it's got 165 word per minute for this first subtitle, whereas in the second one it's only very little, which is 95 words per minute. Or you can set it up character per second. This is yet another form of setting up your subtitles. I hope that you have learned something here, but in terms of editing subtitling, the main thing is, as I said, shortening. There are other elements of homonyms. I'll try to avoid words that are homonyms, such as the word ya'du or adu, al-adu. Al-adu means to run, and also al-adu means the enemy. So you try to actually get rid of this kind of word that has got two different meanings. It's the way you read it. Homonyms are to be avoided in subtitling as much as possible, and that is really because you want to make it as easy as possible to your readers, to your viewers, to your audience, which is in a way similar to what you can say. It's choosing the best, most appropriate alternative synonym, if you like, for the same word, as in the case of rakaba and ada, ya'du. It's better to say yarkud and not ya'du or al-adu, because al-adu, even though it's a sport, it still can mean also the enemy. So homonyms is to be avoided. Also words that can be read in two different ways, like bikura and bakara. It's the same word. Bikura means using a football or a ball, and bakara is a wheel or a reel, R-E-E-L. So like a cotton, when you put the strings on round a reel or cotton reel, you are actually using the same bakara and bikura. They both can be read in the same way because we don't use really a lot of vowelization in Arabic, because the short vowels are not mentioned in the Arabic script. This Arabic that I'm talking about is the classic, not the classical one. It's the modern standard Arabic, which is used in newspapers and in the media in general, on TV and radio. That's the one that I'm talking about, that you need to be using in subtitling as well. So also you have to watch in subtitling the register. Make sure that if it is informal or vernacular in the source text, make sure that it is colloquial but not too ammiya, vernacular. Avoid ammiya in subtitling, even though some companies, TV companies, they use ala dal'una, they write it on the screen, subtitling a song in colloquial or in vernacular spoken Lebanese or Syrian or Sham spelling or Sham dialect. So we need to avoid that. Also, what is so important, and it's a very, very prominent aspect and characteristic of the films is that the use of so many different types of text types. You could have something like a legal document within the actual dialogue in a film, as in the case of when you go to a lawyer as a character, as an actor, and you are consulting about inheritance or whatever. The lawyer is going to speak in a very legal terms, using legal terms. Therefore, you have to move on to the legal language in both in English and in Arabic, with words like will, shall meaning يلتزم, and can or may means يجوز in legal. As modal verbs, they are translated in that way in legal. Then you have the other point, which is could be also medical text included or inserted somewhere in the film when they are taking, for example, somebody to do a post-mortem examination, like a medical case that's being discussed. Here you are moving to terminology and medical terminology within the film. So you have legal text and you have also medical text in the actual film, which you need to actually work with. So you have to be very careful. You need to be knowledgeable in both medical translation and legal translation, and also the spoken text in the film. And of course, in subtitling also, not to translate the text as text, but actually to look at the sound and the image as well, because the sound and the image are coming with the source text. Okay, so that's why you need to watch the film before you start translating or subtitling. You cannot just subtitle the actual text first, because you've been given the template, English template, let's say. Don't actually start translating it first and then put it on the video or the film, because that way you're going to be editing so much. Whereas if you watch the film with the English template first, from the beginning to the end, and while you are watching it, you have in your mind what are these terms that are difficult. You read, you put them on the side while you are listening to the video and watching it as if you are a source language viewer first. So you watch the film and then you start translating or subtitling the film, and that way you will. It's more likely that you don't need that much editing for the film, and not too much reviewing of the film. Well, it's not called reviewing as such. It's more called simulating, and that's what simulators are. Simulators are people who are proofreaders who are actually checking your reading speed as opposed to text. As I said, like when we've seen earlier, 69 words per minute. This text in that subtitle needs to be edited down in order to make that red writing into white writing, i.e. having like 85 words per minute for that subtitle or whatever you have set it up. As I said earlier, that you set it up as 100 from between 120 to 140. Most of the companies tend to actually do that, set it up. And of course, between the actual subtitle and the next subtitle, even if they are following each other immediately, you need to put what's called a break, frame break, and which is like usually one frame, which is one picture. No, some companies put one frame, which is, I wouldn't agree on that. Usually 3 frames is the best setting for frame break in between the 2 subtitles. Why do you do that? It's actually to make the subtitle, the first one, disappear and then appears, disappear and appear in a very sort of rhythmic way, with 3 frames in between. 3 frames means 3 pictures, and you move on in the 3 pictures you can set it up. That can be set up on the actual software itself when you start. So when you go for next subtitle, straight away the 3 frames are already taken into account by the software itself. So you don't need to worry about putting 3 frames every time you actually press onto the next subtitle. Let's look at more of these on the subtitling business here on the video. If I'm just going through it just right to the end of this file, just to show you how we can move on. Now I pressed enter. I have a new subtitle here, and then I type in it. When I pressed on it, you can tell that I already set. Look at this one here. It's it's 05, which is 5 minutes, 35 seconds, and 18 frames. Okay, قبل 100 سنة. And then the next one, when I put enter, it has moved automatically and given me 3 frames, 21. You can see it's moving from 18 frames to the actual 21, which is giving me automatically 3 frames in between that subtitle and the subtitle next one, which is the subtitle 54 to 55. Now when I'm typing, of course it's yellow because I didn't put in these the time codes from the video. I didn't yet borrow them from the video. Once I borrow them by inserting or by pressing on the insert key here, when I press on it, you can see that it has taken what's written here, what is after. Usually they follow the video where it is and where I have stopped. I hope that you have benefited from this, and all of you have actually benefited from this video about subtitling. I have a book about subtitling called Linguistic Issues and Quality Assessment of Audiovisual English-Arabic subtitling or audiovisual translation, where I talk about all these various issues, and also I discuss some of these with regards to register, shortening, homonyms, the use of homonyms, the type of texts that are legal and medical and mixed together, sometimes political, as well as the dialogue, in the dialogue as well. So this is yet another area where you need to improve on, and you need to be aware of. So that basically it's a kind of multiple text types used in films. In the documentaries, they tend to have more wordy kind of subtitles, and therefore, because they come one after the other, narration and then the person speaking, and when the person is speaking in front of the camera, we call it soundbite. You find that the narration is actually almost immediately comes in with the actual sound bites, with the actual person speaking on screen. Because they are coming one after the other, the narration, it's better to have a kind of a very smooth movement from one subtitle to the next, not to rush these subtitles. Unlike a film which is an action film, where you have to be a bit faster because it's an action film and it's quite a lot of activities going on and so on and so forth, and many screenshots moving from one shot to another. So the shot changes are also quite vital, and shot changes is one of the elements in subtitling. I wish you the very, very best, and please, if you need any inquiries about subtitling, this one I'm using is actually called WinCaps, and WinCaps is one of the very good ones. When you are dealing with Walt Disney kind of films, it's very reliable, and it's very, very useful and user-friendly. If you have any comments, please send them to me on my channel, which is Dr. Ahmed Kudro channel, or Dr. Ahmed Khudro channel, and I'll be more than happy to explain to you anything relating to this particular subtitling software, or any things relating to subtitling in general from English into Arabic, or from Arabic to English as well, because I do that sometimes. I did a film called for Abdul Halim into English, and yeah, and there is Al Jazeera film, and there's so many other films, Perfect Storm, 007, Walt Disney, many of them, the Cars, the film, and many others like in Walt Disney, Jungle Book, the Aladdin and the 40 Thieves, and then the Bear, Brother Bear. I can't remember. It's so many films that I have done which are for Walt Disney. Also, there are others that are done for feature films and documentaries, which I have done as well, with regards to subtitling. Of course, in terms of dubbing, shortening is yet another element which you need to be aware of, even more so than in subtitling, because dubbing requires much longer time to read the text, to read the line, which takes about 5 seconds in dubbing. And this is something I could talk about some other time. Wish you all the best.